Greetings, grade 12 learners, history students. In front of you today is Mr. Majikija, the subject advisor from OR Tambo Inland District. The topic that I'll be dealing with today is essay writing skills. As you know that we are preparing for the final examinations for both paper 1 and paper 2, and these are skills that are needed for section B, which is history essays. So today I'm going to assist you in capacitating you in terms of how to write a very good essay, so that at least at the end of the year you are able to get the distinctions that you need from this subject. Firstly, when you are writing an essay, first thing that you need to know is that you must have a structure of an essay which is very relevant. A structure of an essay becomes relevant if it has got a very good introduction with a line of argument. And an introduction must firstly have a line of argument or a stance, followed by reasons for taking such a line of argument, and you must also orientate us in terms of which content you're going to use in order to support your line of argument. Then, in terms of input, when it comes to input, firstly, an essay must be divided into paragraphs, and always the first paragraph is an introduction, then the last one is a conclusion, but the first paragraph, which is introduction, must be followed by the body, that is what we call elaboration, which must be a series of paragraphs following Peel method and a line of argument. Then in our case, what we are going to do here is that when you are writing an introduction, firstly, you must make sure that you take a stance, you give reasons, and then you support. I think that one is clear enough. Then when writing a body of an essay, that is a series of paragraphs with Peel method, one, you must use Peel method. For instance, if you can take an example from Vietnam War, let me use an example. Here is the question. USA became involved in the Vietnam War because it feared domino theory, and USA had adopted a policy of containment. Now, that is how to start a paragraph. When you're starting a paragraph, you must make sure that you start it with a valid point, followed by explanations. And when it comes to explanations, explanation refers to few sentences in your paragraph which explain your point, the point that you have made, following the main point. Then evidence, which is E, is very important. The next few sentences should give evidence to substantiate the statement made above. This will be dates. When you're talking about evidence, this refers to dates, details, facts, figures from reading your source material. For instance, in 1957 to 1963, USA sent military advisors and weapons in South Vietnam in order to support Vietnam. Then when you are closing a paragraph, please don't close without linking it to the line of, to the question. Go revert, look back, what was the question all about? At the end of your paragraph, link back to the essay question, the impact of the point explained. What was the impact of the domino theory, for instance, in this essay? Was USA successful in preventing domino theory? So make sure that you always analyze. That is very important in history. When you are writing a conclusion, it means you must restate the line of argument. How you opened your essay in introduction should also be the same in your conclusion. The introduction must match with conclusion. And in your conclusion, there must be no new facts allowed. Just support or defend the line of argument that you have sustained from introduction to conclusion. And you must use concluding remarks, like, for instance, to say, in conclusion, to conclude, indeed, to sum up. So that is how to write an essay. Now, when you are concluding, you restate the introduction, turn introduction into conclusion. That is the point that I wanted to emphasize. Now, you will be getting different types of argumentative essays. In history, we are doing argumentative essays, not narrative. A narrative and essay is a reproduction of what you have learned. And yet, an argumentative essay is whereby, as a learner, you are allowed to include your point of view. You become part of the argument. How do you view it? Why do you support it? Why do you support it strongly? For instance, the types of essays that will be asked at the end of the year, please mind the question verbs. For instance, the essay would say, do you agree with the statement? When the essay says, do you agree, it means you must use relevant evidence to support your line of argument. Once the question verb says, do you agree? Once in your introduction you say, I agree, then it means you are going to support it in that manner up until conclusion. Don't contradict yourself. You must not find you in a position saying you don't agree because you said you agree. Then this question is asking whether you agree with the given statement. You can fully agree, partially agree, or disagree with the statement. So that one is an argumentative essay. Substantiate your response with a good relevant explanation or reasons, preferably in 1 or 2 sentences. Then give historical evidence to support your stance. Historical evidence means content that were taught by the teacher. Here I'm giving you the skill that as to how to organize the content that you were taught in the classroom. Now, another argumentative question would say, explain to what extent military tactics applied by USA succeeded in defeating the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War between 1963 and 1975. So this question verb is very important. This one is different from the one that says, do you agree? When it says, to what extent, so please don't use any word like I agree, I disagree. It has nothing to do with that. This one, when it says to what extent, this question asks you to explain to what extent, in other words, how much you supported the idea that EUSA tactics were not successful in defeating a small country like Vietnam. To what extent do you agree? State whether to a greater extent or to a lesser extent. In this essay, you must know that there were 2 countries that were involved here. It was USA and Vietnam. And USA was the most powerful one. It used the most modern military tactics, but unfortunately, it failed to defeat Vietnam. The last one is critically discuss how the military tactics of the USA applied in Vietnam succeeded in defeating the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War between 1963 and 1975. So we have got 3 types of argumentative essays. The one says, do you agree? The second one says, to what extent? The third one says, critically discuss. So mind those question verbs because they are the ones that you must keep in your mind when you are writing an essay. Now, when it says critically discuss, it means candidates should respond to the question by saying the statement is true, valid, authentic, or I'm in full support of the statement, meaning they are in support of the statement. Then give reasons why you feel so strongly. So that is very, very important. Provide brief historical evidence to support the argument. Then, critically discuss the statement means that candidates must look at both the positive and negative side of the statement. When you are writing an essay that says critically discuss, you must not be one-sided. You must show us the strength of American forces and the weaknesses of American forces. We must also show us the strength of Viet Cong and the weaknesses of Viet Cong. Because even if America could not defeat Viet Cong, but the fact remains that there were casualties in Vietnam because of America. So critical discuss means that discuss both the strengths and weaknesses. That is very important when you are writing. And again, when you are writing e-body, mind the pill method. Substantiate your response with a good relevant explanation or reasons. Structure your paragraphs and build effective connections between them that will allow you to develop and sustain a line of argument. Always close the paragraph by linking the line of argument. That will help you. The main points that you must mind when you are writing this essay, I think I have explained how to structure it. Introduction, body, and conclusion. Then the line of argument must be indicated from introduction to conclusion. When you are concluding, it's not a big paragraph, but it's just that it must have a line of argument. Then you can write 2-3 sentences to support the line of argument, whereas the conclusion is a little bit bigger. So in this case, when you're discussing the Vietnam War, make it a point. Here are the bullets that you must mind. The Geneva Conference of 1954, the domino theory and the policy of containment, passive involvement, that is the domino theory, Ho Chi Minh Trail, safe village policy, the Gulf of Tonkin, the conventional strategy, Operation Ranch, Agent Blue, Orange, Napalm. Now, Operation Rolling Thunder, Tet Offensive, anti-war demonstrations. So these are points that you must be using. In conclusion, I just want to say and wish you the best luck in your coming exams. History has never been a failed subject, so please keep up the momentum. Make it a point that you have prepared enough so that you get maximum points that you need to get in order to qualify to be in the university. We know you are very desperate for the points. So I wish you good luck in your coming exams for both paper 1 and paper 2 with these essays. They are not difficult, it's just that you must be very confident. If you have a problem, you can also contact me at 0738 139 186. Thank you very much. Goodbye.